Myself function. Now I'm going to discuss with the concept called multiple interfaces. In the last video, we have come across with what is an interface and why we are using this interface, and also the representation of an interface. So here we are going to study the multiple inheritance in Java by making use of this interface. Okay. See, we can inherit the properties of a parent class to a child class. But here, by making use of this interface, we are trying to inherit the properties of one or more interfaces, and we are trying to make use of those properties in the class. The same way, however, we can inherit the properties of a single interface by making use of these implements. In the same way, we can able to inherit the properties of two interfaces into a class. It means this class can able to make use of the properties which has been represented in this interface and also in this interface. That means multiple interfaces properties can be used in this class. In the same way that multiple inheritance can be done among these interfaces also. So this is in between class and interfaces. Here, this is among the interfaces. So if this interface wants to inherit the properties of those multiple interfaces in the sense. So here it has been represented that, so we have to make use of the extends keyword. So by making use of this extends keyword, so this interface can able to inherit the properties of these multiple interfaces. So in the last video, we have come across that the understanding and then the relationship between the interface and the class. No. So here the same way we are just applying that concept with the multiple inheritance concept. So here we are trying to inherit the properties from multiple interfaces to a class by making use of these implements. And then, so here we are trying to inherit the properties of interfaces to our interface class by making use of this extends keyword. See, if you observe this example, so here it has been specified with the parent interface called printable, and here it has been specified with the abstract method called print. And again, so it has been represented with another interface called showable, so with the abstract method called show. See, if anyone wants to make use of this child interface in this is definitely the parent interface should be inherited. So if you don't want to make use of this showable interface, then it is enough to implement this printable. But if you want to inherit the properties of this showable interface in the sense, then definitely it should be implemented with the parent interface. So that's why here we are going to mention that now I want to make use of this both the abstract methods called print and show. So that's why I have implemented multiple interfaces here like printable and then showable. Then I have defined the print and show methods over here, and I am going to represent the system.out.println statement. That means print statements. One is with the hello for print method and welcome for the show method. So then I'm going to create an object for the class over here, and I'm trying to call the print method and show method. So if I try to execute this program, so the output will be hello and also the welcome. Why? Because here I have implemented both the methods, that means abstract methods, which has been specified in the multiple interfaces. So this print abstract method is in the printable interface and show is in the showable interface. So I'm trying to execute these methods over here. So as it is inheriting the properties of those multiple interfaces, the output will be hello and welcome. Whereas coming across with this this example, here I have just mentioned like I just want to print that only print. Okay, see here, if you observe here, I'm representing the interface showable show, and here I have represented like print. Now I want to make use of this abstract method called print, which has been represented in showable. So if I want to make use of this child interface, definitely I have to implement the parent also. So that's why I have mentioned class A7 implements printable comma showable. So that means showable is in printable. Okay, so then I have specified this method called print, and then I have represented the printout statement, and then I'm calling the printout method over here. Okay, so if I try to execute this program, I'll be getting the output like only the hello. So why? Because so here I'm just trying to execute only one method. Here I'm trying to execute the two methods over here. See, whenever we inherit the properties of the child interface, in the sense, definitely the parent interface should be implemented. So that is what the difference in between these two programs. Next one is extending interface. So extending interface in the sense, as we have discussed in this previous slide, I told you that, so whenever we want to inherit the properties of one interface to the another interface, then we are going to make use of the keyword called extends. Okay, so here I'll explain through an example here. So here I have represented the interface called printable, and I have specified an abstract method print. Now again I'm representing the interface showable. Now I want to inherit the properties of this printable. Okay, so now I'm trying to extend this interface. Why? Because here I'm trying to inherit the properties of a printable interface to a showable interface over here. And again, I'm specifying a method. So likewise, however, I told you so if you want to inherit the properties of a child class, definitely it should be extended with the parent interface. Okay, so here, so if you observe, here I have represented, that means you have tried to implement only the showable. So if I represent this showable, it has, so if you see this, showable interface is already extended with the printable. So that's why I haven't mentioned printable over here. So that is the main difference between the previous example and this example. In the previous example, along with the showable, I have also represented the printable. Why? Because there the interface haven't extended the properties one among them. But here the interface called showable is trying to extend the properties with printable. So that's why, so it is enough to represent the showable rather than this printable. Then the remaining thing is same. So we are going to represent as it is having the properties of the parent class also. So here I'm going to write the method body of both the print and then show, and then I have represented the print statement and I'm trying to print that statements. So if I try to run this program, the output will be both the hello and then welcome. Why? Because so here the interface called showable, so it has been extended with the parent interface called printable. So if you try to implement the showable, it will be consisting of both the showable and then printable here. Next, coming across with the nested interface. So here the nested interface in the sense, an interface that is declared within another interface or class is known as a nested interface. So this nested interface must be referred by the outer interface or class. So we can't access this interface directly. See, this is a So this is an printable interface. So where it has been defined with another interface called message printable. Right. So if you want to make use of this printable, definitely it should be represented by this parent thing called printable. Why? Because we can't directly access this message printable. So that is nothing but nested interface. So an interface declared within another interface or class is known as nested interface. Next, variables in interface. So the whatever the variables we are going to define in this interface, so by default it will be static and then fine, public static fine alone. Okay, so this thing we have already discussed in the last video. So if you try to represent an interface, and we are going to declare the variables along with the declaration of abstract methods. So if you try to compile this interface, so by default, it will be, that means the variables which has been declared over here, it will be treated like public static final. Then, so whatever the abstract method we have defined over here, it will be treated like public abstract void print. So this is how it will be treated. So the whatever the variables that we are going to represent in the interfaces, by default, it will be treated like public static final. And coming across with the abstract methods, same, it will be treated like public methods only. So this is how the variables are declared in an interface. So this is the interface concept. Thank you.